Hi everyone, it is Marie here from Skeins, and today is day 5 of the Quarantine Diaries. Monday, so they tell me. I feel a little bit like Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey. You know, what's a weekend? I mean, what's Monday these days? But you know what? It's okay. I'm here, so that's all you need to worry about. And I'm actually joined today by the fantastic Libby Jonson, aka Truly Myrtle, down the telephone line with my highly technical cell phone propped up on a little bucket next to a microphone. But hopefully, Libby, I can get a little bit more high tech after the advice you've just given me. How are you?
I'm good, actually, Marie. How are you? How are you, everybody?
Yeah, well, I
think isolation.
I know. Well, how's it all going at your place? Because I mean, you'll be home with husband and children, and I mean, that's just it. You'll be used to working at home with a bit of peace, sort of from 9 till 3. How's it going with everyone back?
I was just saying to Mr. Myrtle the other day, it actually feels bizarrely normal. It feels quite bizarrely normal because I work at home all the time. He often has the odd day at home.
Yeah.
It's just juggling these 4 children, and amongst it all, that's the challenge. And of course, I've just launched my wardrobe toolbox, so I'm quite busy.
Yeah.
I've moved my office into a little old laundry that we have, and now I can actually shut the door. So that's helping a little bit, but it is a matter of trying to stop them from eating all our food in a hurry and trying to get some peace and quiet. I've actually shut the door now and locked it. So if we hear a knock, it'll be one of my children.
Yeah, I can fully appreciate, because as you know, I work from home about 3 days a week often as well. And yeah, it's the same here too. I know when I did the diaries yesterday, I had a little 11-year-old whose head popped up over the window of my office door looking at me very hopefully, and then put up a wee sign that said breakfast ? It's just like, hello?
That's exactly what's happening in mine. I was doing a live video the other day for the Wardrobe Toolbox Lounge people, and my 16-year-old, she's not even 11, 16-year-old tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Can I have some toast?" What? Okay. Oh my goodness me. So all boundaries are gone.
Absolutely, because I know.
But we're lucky because we're rural, so it is already quite quiet out here. So it's as if this sort of strange world is happening out there, but we can't quite wrap our heads around it at the moment. Because it's all a bit quiet. But but it's good to see everybody still knitting, and it does seem like everybody is doing a lot of knitting right now.
Yeah. So. Honestly, I've been doing a sweat. I mean, like like you, I knit all the time, but it does go in fits and starts depending on the amount of work I've got on. And it's been really nice to jump into a project with a bit of teeth and do that, because you've got this sort of time and space to be able to do it and see what people are knitting at home, and really, jumping in bigger projects or finishing stuff off and doing all of that. And I think that's, and I know they've been sharing in your group and definitely sharing in ours as well. And it is great to see. I mean, it's the one sort of glue that holds us all together. So it's been fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, I've actually, because I feel like I've had a little less time to knit, but what I have been doing is I've been trying to just look at what everyone else is doing and cheer them along. And it's just actually, it's really good to feel that I'm just a part of that with everybody else, to see what they're doing. I mean, I have got a little more time to answer some questions and see what people are struggling with, and I'm really enjoying that, actually. Just that sense of community that we can make, even if we don't physically speak to each other or come, go near each other. Yeah. It is amazing how we can all feel part of this together.
Absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned before, I mean, your community has always been very, very strong, but it has now gotten even stronger and bigger with the Wardrobe Toolbox. I popped a link up in the introduction here for the Quarantine Diaries on Facebook. So run us through that for those that haven't caught up with what that is, because I mean, it did actually close off a couple of days ago, but you are actually allowing our people that, or those who sort of weren't 100% about whether or not they were going to jump into this, there is actually one last chance to join up.
Well, I couldn't come on and talk about it without giving you a go, giving you a chance to get in. I had quite a few people contact me to say, "Oh no, I missed the deadline," and I have said, "Oh, I'm really sorry," but I can't talk to you about it without giving you a chance to join. So yes, you click on the link, you can go and read a little bit more about it and join up. I'll keep it open till 2 o'clock today, I think, and then at It's good. But the wardrobe toolbox, it seems to be, it's really fun so far. So we've got, it works in two ways. There's a website where I'm uploading lessons and classes and all sorts of fun tips and tricks and things that you can use to make clothes that you just love and that feel fantastic when you've got them on. So I hear lots of people saying to me, I've made lots of your cardigans, but I've given them all away. Or they'll say, I've made this, but it doesn't fit me, and I don't quite know where I've gone wrong. Or my body's a funny shape. I hear that one a lot. And your body isn't a funny shape. It's that the pattern needs to be just tweaked enough to make it work for you.
Absolutely.
So my aim with all of this is to try and give you enough information to have a real go at changing patterns so they fit you. I mean, I teach a lot of knit to fit classes, so a lot of what I'm doing is going to be the stuff I teach in my classes, but it'll just be little chunks of information. This is not, it's not like a school. I don't want anyone to feel like there's homework or anything, but it will have, you have access to all of these little lessons and tricks and tips and stuff on my wardrobe toolbox website. I've also got a whole lot of fantastic people lined up to give us specific masterclasses, and I am personally really excited about that. So this month, have you heard of Stacia from Stacia's Style School, Marie?
No.
I've talked about her before.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. So she's in the States. I did a course with her a couple of years ago, and she does a course all about finding your style. And it's not your classic finding your style stuff. It's about being a grown-up, empowered woman who just starts to get to grips with how she likes to feel.
Yeah.
It really appeals to me. So Stacia is actually our first masterclass. She's giving us a masterclass at the end of April for a whole hour. We've got her in a live video, and she's just going to give us it all, so we can just have a better sense of looking at our wardrobes and feeling braver to experiment. So I've got someone coming every month for that kind of thing. So there's all sorts of stuff I'm doing. I'm really trying to jam pack it with lots of information that you can just absorb and digest and watch with a cup of tea or read. I was pretty excited today because the first email has already gone out today, but if you join up now, I will send it again later on today. But it comes with a couple of free patterns, a free pattern every second month that nobody else will get. Well, not initially anyway. And so the first one went out today, and it's this really cool shawl. So I'm quite excited about that. And it's a pretty good timing. I hadn't really realised when I was designing it how apt it would be for right now. So with the shawl I've done, it's a 3-skein shawl, and I actually went stash diving. I deliberately, months and months and months ago, I deliberately decided I wasn't going to do some kits or anything like that. I wasn't going to try and do anything really fancy, and I've actually grabbed yarn out of my stash. One of them is a skein I dyed myself with avocado, and I've made this 3-skein shawl, which is intended. You were talking about unicorn skeins.
Yeah, we have been talking about those unicorn skeins because I mean, let's face it, you know, a number of us have been going to markets and shows and events for years, and you know, we've been part of those yarn clubs, you know, when like everybody was doing a yarn club and you got sent out a single skein, or often it was a skein that was like a different weight, like 150 grams or for a specific project. And, you know, I mean, how many of us face it, the project that came, I mean,
yeah, well, that's exactly why I did this. So I looked in my stash and I was like, I have all these random skeins. What can I do to make this work, and how am I going to talk to people about doing that? So that's exactly what I did. And now, of course, here we are stuck at home with our stashes. So it's kind of perfect. So it's this 3-skein shawl, and this week I've got a big lesson that's coming in a couple of days. That's all about fibres that go into yarn that you're choosing. And I'm just trying to help people get a little more empowered about making decisions before they start, so that they're not disappointed with what they end up with. And that's the aim of the game for me. I want you to feel a little braver, to, you know, make mistakes, be experimental and stuff like that.
You and I have spoken at length in various occasions around particularly confidence and fit, and so much of it is around confidence, like I mean, and body positivity. Now, I mean, for anybody who hasn't met me in physical person, I mean, you can already see from, if you watch the videos, I'm definitely of the more Rubenesque character, but I'm very tall, so I am tall and large, and I've always been tall and large, and it's never fazed me. And I, you know, and I've come across so many women like, you know, similar body type to me, and they're always wearing dark clothing because they think that makes them look slimming, or the, you know, all of these misconceptions that they have around themselves in terms of their own body confidence. And it's just like, you don't need to be like this. And I, you know, I knit for myself a lot, and I wear it often, and I have absolutely no qualms about wanting to make sure that, you know, there is, if you really love that yarn or love that color or love that pattern, you know, you can actually make alterations to fit, and it's not as difficult as you might think. You just need to have the confidence that you can do it.
I agree. And the thing is, my mother is trying to phone me on the other line, but I'm going to ignore her. I just forgot to tell her that I was going to be talking to you. So, of course, she's ringing me multiple times a day at the moment.
Oh, sorry. I made sure I rang mine before I went live on air, because that would have been me too.
We're lucky it's not a FaceTime. That would have been louder. No, but I was going to say, though, that my mum's a big woman, and I'm a dwarf in comparison to my mum. I'm so little in comparison to mum, but she talked to me a lot about, over the years, you know, it was so frustrating to her that the shops for a long time would only carry stuff that was black or grey and or bright red. And she's like, I don't always want to wear black or grey or bright red. And the thing that saved her is she actually hasn't done a heck of a lot of knitting for herself in recent years, which I have been trying to change. But she has done a lot of sewing. And so for her, that, you know, it's enabled her to expand her wardrobe a bit. So I have, my whole life, I've heard her talking about this kind of stuff. So I feel like it's really important to me that the patterns, the garments that I'm making are a wide, you know, a big enough range of sizes, and that's not just up the larger sizes, but also, you know, the smaller sizes as well.
Absolutely.
So I try and have a range, but if you get that fit right through your shoulders, there is so much you can do to make the rest of it work.
Now,
I'm that tricky.
I'm so glad you've mentioned the through the shoulders, because I mean, we have a floozy cardigan as a sample in the shop, and it is incredibly popular. I mean, they're just instantly drawn to it, and I mean, we all know what a huge hit floozy has been. And the number one mistake that I have when people come in going, oh, I started knitting that, but I had to pull it back, is that they make that shoulder measurement too big. And time and time again, I'll say, and I'll even get out with a tape measure at the shop, and I'll even measure them, and I'll go, right, what size do you think that you'll be knitting? And they'll turn around and say to me, 42 inch, you know, and I'll get the tape measure out, and I said, no, it's 36, you know, oh, no, I can't, no, trust me on this, because you need to, I mean, in the shoulder fit, is so important. And that was one of the things that was a massive revelation for me, because I was knitting cardigans that were continually falling off my shoulders, driving me crazy.
Oh, they have this great big neck, and that's not, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't look flattering. No, I 100% agree. The biggest thing I see is too big. People are knitting things too big. And I get that, you know. I mean, I've had 4 kids. My body is not the same as it was when I was 25. And I'm not a big person, but I'm bigger than I was. And I definitely, you know, and through my late 40s, I'm nearly 50, but through my late 40s, I've definitely, my body's changed again. So I'm much thicker through the middle. And I know all this stuff, but I still sometimes have this thing that I just almost want to hide in my clothes. Sometimes I'm not as confident sometimes to wear stuff that's a little more fitted, but actually it often looks great. Or at least making it fit in certain places through the top of the arm or the shoulder.
And regardless of how what your size is, having a good shoulder fit and particularly for women, a good bust fit. I know Morag is really big on this. A really good bust fit, and also too, as you said, having a good fitted upper arm and shoulder, makes a massive difference. And like for me, the adjustments that I will make will often be underneath the bust, through the waist, and because I'm a classic triangle pear shape, 'tis what it is. But the thing I love is that it's actually making adjustments, like oatmeal. I'd be a prime example. I mean, I did that knit along with you, a few years ago, and oatmeal was great. Even though that was bottom up, I was able to actually measure, right, where do I want this to start? And I did the measurement around my hip. That's where I started, but I was able to sort of calculate through, go to the waist. Because I am so tall, I actually added in another, I think, something like 5 or 10 centimetres through that centre portion before I went out. And it made the world of difference. I actually, and when you actually lay the sweater out, it actually does have a slight hourglass shaping on it. But boy, when I wear it, I feel good in it. It looks good. And people are like, oh, that fits so well. It's like, well, yeah, because I've made those modifications to make it fit really well.
And when it fits well, you feel good. And I think that's the aim, isn't it? We want to feel great in our clothes. And so we also want to do things, there's a whole idea about making it fit and feeling great, but also just understanding about the kind of colours we want to wear as well. So it's, the whole thing is, and the fabric that we like to create. So there's, we don't have to go for big chunky yarn all the time. Sometimes finer yarn fits better. And, there's just, it's having a better understanding of what we're trying to achieve from the beginning, and that is what I'm trying to give everybody. This month in Wardrobe Toolbox, it's a slower month in terms of there's a lot to get used to. So we're starting with an accessory and during our lessons, and there's a lot to kind of figure out with technology and all of this new life that we're leading. It's all a bit different. But come May, we're launching straight into taking our measurements. We're going to start really thinking about how to make garments fit and what to look out for, so that in June we're actually all going to get a garment pattern to have a go with, or take another garment pattern and have a go with it. So the other nice thing about Wardrobe Toolbox for me is that it's not just about two-dimensional patterns. So although the patterns that people get for free are mine, they can knit anything. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a whole lot of different patterns on people and to see different styles that suit people, and I just think it's going to be really inspiring for me as well, just to see everyone's imagination go wild. But there will be a lot of talk about how to take measurements, how to choose sizes, what is, getting gauge, because I hate to say everybody, but that does kind of make a difference. And then how to make those adjustments that once we understand, like you do, once you understand what your body shape is and what the general adjustments are that you make every time, then it's a matter of just plugging them in, really, and figuring out how, okay, well, I'm more hourglass, so I'm going to do this, or I have, my busts are proportionately larger than my shoulders, so I'm going to chuck in a bust dart, and I know how to do that. It's just getting that under your belt, and it sounds scary, but actually when we start breaking it down, it's really doable.
One of the things with the quarantine that I've been doing is having, I mean, I don't know about you, but for years, particularly when I really started getting back into knitting again, is I had bought magazines and loads of books. I have quite an extensive library. And one of the things I've been doing is going back over that library and having a look at some of those early books. There were a lot of publications that came out of either the UK or the US, and actually looking at some of those designs that back then, and I mean, I'm talking some of these 10, 15 years ago, even longer, that I would look at and go, oh, no, I'm not quite up to that, or I don't really, I don't have that skill level. I'm actually now looking at all of those designs in a completely new light, because I can think, oh, I really like that element, or I like how they've done that, and like, oh, I can actually modify that, or I've seen garments that are actually done in pieces and thought, I can actually, I can convert that with a top down or a bottom up, or make these sorts of adjustments.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be daunted by the fact that they're all done in pieces, and if you hate seaming, you can start looking at how to make them in one piece.
I have to admit, I'm quite a good mattress stitch is for me one of the most satisfying joys in the knitting world. I love a good mattress stitch.
I love doing it, but I really don't like having to finish my garment later. I like to bind it off and know that I'm done. I'm done. I just weave in my ends. But I do agree though, mattress stitch is like magic. It's completely like magic.
And
so
also actually one of the things though with that sort of stitching element is sometimes particularly it adds what you don't realize, because so for those who have never done mattress stitch, and I guess some of you may not have, if you've only done in the round knitting, you're actually taking if you're doing it vertically, the bars in between the two in between stitches and sort of almost interlacing them, and when you pull them together, it almost like pulls up together like a zip and creates this beautiful invisible seam on the right side, and you do actually have quite a structural piece on the inside, and that in itself, particularly with shoulders, or if you're working with yarns that are that are quite floppy, it can actually add a little bit of extra structure to a garment to actually hold it sometimes, which I think is not necessarily something to be discounted.
Yeah, I think so. And if you're going to work with something like an alpaca, that could be really useful, but because there's a tendency to really drop. No, I agree. I love the challenge of trying to create some of those structural elements and that strength with knitting, in one go. And so I find it quite fun, the idea of, juggling. Is it worth a provisional cast on at the shoulder here? Is it going to matter, or should I really be picking up my stitches to go down the other side? Because that gives it a reasonable amount of strength. And what cast on am I going to use to make sure that it's really firm at that beginning point? I love all those sorts of challenges.
Well, and I know those,
incorporate those in.
And I know that sort of set and shoulder that you do. Like you had it on the oatmeal, and that is so flattering. Like it's like it fits so perfectly. And I mean, for me, I know that the first, I have to admit, every time I've done it, like particularly when I've gone up and around with those short rows, I've cocked it up every single time. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I am very much of the opinion that as long as I get back down to that armhole and I can fudge, even if I have to make one or take a stitch away to get to where I need to be to create the funnel of the sleeve, it doesn't matter. Because who's going to know?
No, it's true. You can absolutely fudge so much stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't when I write patterns, unfortunately. I have to do it correctly. Writing it correctly. But I tell you what, I have had a lot of fun with that seven sleeve, because over the years my seven sleeve has changed, because I've really looked at I've really got the maths going for me at the top, and knowing what the proportion of stitches at the top needs to be to create that perfect curve. So I get a real thrill out of that, just experimenting with numbers to make it work. And of course you don't see that at the other end. You don't, but for me that makes it really fun.
Yeah, no, I have to.
Sleeves are really flattering, and the lovely thing is, of course, once you learn how to do one, you can knit even a garment in pieces. You could knit the body in pieces. You could seam it all up, so you have an armhole, and then you could actually pick up around the sleeve and knit yourself a short row sleeve.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fuss around with actually seaming in a sleeve. Yeah. Which can be really complicated for people. That can sort of sometimes, if you don't do it neatly, can make things not look quite so neat, I think. But you can actually pick it up and just knit a sleeve once you figure out how to do that. So, and it's like you say, there's room for fudging for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole desire for perfection. I mean, I'm lazy. I'm the queen of the lazy knitters. I mean, I will do anything.
Call it efficient.
I will do anything in my power to avoid frogging. I mean, honestly, that's why I have to admit I enjoy spending time with Stephen Berg, because he is very much, he's a no frog zone. He refuses to do it, and which totally works with my ethos. Says she, who's working on this Rambler sweater, and then realised 2/3 of the way round on the yoke increase round I had done my increasing incorrectly, so I am now sitting there quietly having to, I mean, that's what happens when you do these things late at night, having to quietly tink it back to the beginning to sort of restart again. So, because the maths is the maths. It is frustrating, but that's right.
I always go on to my people. I have this little rant that I go on fairly frequently, that it's just like little life lessons. Knitting is such a little practice at life lessons, and so I try and embrace the frogging, because I have to frog all something that looks like this just god-awful, boring thing I have to do, like vacuum. And I'll think, just do it. Just get on with it. And somehow it just gives you the resilience that you need to take into your life. So I do think knitting is full of little life lessons. If we just do them often enough, we'll get used to it.
Now, while I've got the comments up and rolling, if anybody has a question for Libby, fire it in the comments now, and we can get that loaded off. Now, as Libby mentioned before, this is we've been talking about her wardrobe toolbox, which closed off on the 28th, but she's just gone and popped a link up to the toolbox that if you did miss out or you haven't signed up, you have a very short window to go and do that now. So it will remain live until 2:00 this afternoon. That's New Zealand time. So you can actually squeak in and be part of that toolbox experience. So I do, strongly suggest that you have a look at that and see if that, particularly while we've got so much time on our hands for many of us. So do go and do that.
The other thing about joining up now is I changed the price to New Zealand dollars. I originally priced it in US dollars because everything is in US dollars, and I do have a big US base, but the dollar was doing strange things against the American dollar.
Yeah, it's still really
So I changed it to New Zealand dollars. It will always be in New Zealand dollars now. I just needed to keep us a little secure down here, and I dropped the price. So it's $12.50 a month, and if you sign up now, you're going to get that price forever, as long as you don't stop and restart. But if you stay in, it'll just be $12.50 forever, and it's about $7 I think at the moment. So it's quite good when you're getting free patterns and stuff.
Oh yeah, well that's pretty much the value of a pattern anyway. Yeah,
it will go up. There's a free pattern every second month, and I'm just hoping that you're going to feel you get tons and tons for your money. I think you will. But the doors will open again in September, so if you're not sure about it now, you can join again in September, but the price will go up, and I think it'll be around $18.50 come September.
Awesome.
So, so if you're tempted, it's probably a good time. The other thing is that you just pay month by month. So if you need to stop, you can just quit. There's no pressure to stay in. You don't have to sign up for a year. I just wanted people to feel that they have some flexibility. So, of course, I'd love you to stay, and there's fun stuff I've got planned month after month. But if you try it for a month and it's not for you, that's fine. Or if your circumstances change, that's all fine. You can get out. So you're not committed for a long time.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things that we've been talking about a bit on the diaries is I do a lot of cooking and stress cooking, and I know that you have because you are on a lifestyle block and farm where you are. So what are some of the kitchen things that you've been doing in the last little bit, because it is sort of harvest season as well? So have you got anything that you specifically do this time of year that's been keeping you busy?
Well, yes. Well, I'm taking it at the moment because I'm trying to stop everyone from eating all our food in the house. That's quite a challenge. But we are super lucky because we do have our own animals. So I just had a deer butchered. So I'm actually off to pick it up today. So that's really great for me. And my veggie garden, by some miracle, is overflowing this year. We really got stuck in last year. So it's full of lots of leafy greens. And I had about 25 squash.
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure out how I store 25 squash. Apparently I had to sling a hammock up into the garage and keep them separated, stop the rats getting them. But the thing I've done, there are a couple of things I've done recently. The first thing I did, which has made a massive difference, and it's not really cooking per se, but we've started eating our main meal in the middle of the day. Well, early afternoon. And because, I have 4 hungry children, 3 of them are teenagers, and they eat a lot of food if they're able to. They just graze all the time. But we've started having a normal breakfast for those of us who are awake. Some of us are still not awake. But and then we have a big lunch in the sort of middle to early afternoon, and we've been having roast chickens and what did we have yesterday? I can't remember now what we had yesterday, but I know we had banana splits for pudding, which was pretty nice. We've got lots of avocados, so we made avocado ice cream, but the chocolate avocado ice cream. So that actually worked really well. So if anyone has lots of kids at home or hungry people in their house, it's made a huge difference to us to eat a big meal in the middle of the day. And then at the end of the day, no one's really that hungry. It's quite good. So that's my first tip for you. But I tell you what has been happening in our house. I don't actually do any bottling, but Mr. Myrtle does all our jam making and bottling. And so we now have jars and jars of Damson jelly, and yesterday he made quince marmalade.
Yum.
So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So we're trying to. I'm trying to do things like I'm saving all the old. I'm turning into a real homesteader. We're saving all the old bits of bread in the bag in the freezer so I can make my own breadcrumbs or bread and butter pudding. And all my vegetable scraps, carrots and celery and all that sort of stuff. I'm saving all the scraps in the plastic bag in the freezer so I can make stock from those without eating into new vegetable. And what else am I doing? We make our own almond milk because we're dairy free. Some of us are dairy free. But and so I'm saving all the grounds. You make almond milk by blitzing up all the almonds, and we've been saving the grounds. I actually don't make it, Mr. Myrtle makes it, but I save all the grounds, and I've just been drying them out in the oven and then blitzing them for almond flour. So I'm like hardcore homesteading over here.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. There's two things. One, I see Barbara is in chat, Barbara Quigley, and she's actually been sending me a number of recipes. Barbara, I did the smashed potatoes last night. She sent me this fantastic recipe where you just boil potatoes. I had 3 decent-sized agrias, boiled them, cooled them, put them on a baking tray, got a potato masher out and smashed them. So they're quite smashed up. Nice. Then dusted them.
I think she sent me that too.
Yeah, she's brilliant. And I rubbed it with garlic butter, and I just had some fresh herbs that I whacked on there, some spring onion, some bacon, and then a mixture of 50-50 mix of Parmesan and just cheddar cheese. That's what I had in the fridge. And then baked that off. Honestly, I mean, see, I've got 2 boys, and one's a teenager, one's a preteen, all over it.
So I could adapt that in my house because we don't have dairy, so I could use
olive oil.
I'd use olive oil or coconut oil. And the other thing is I use brewer's yeast or savoury yeast for cheesy like taste. So I can just sprinkle that on top. That would work quite well.
Well, Barbara, it was a hit, an absolute hit. So thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned about the almond flour, actually. I haven't actually popped it on the skeins. I will pop it over, actually. I might pop it in the comments here. I put over on my private Instagram, Louis, my oldest, who's my gardener as well. So he has a vegetable garden. And he also loves to bake, and so he's loving the stay at home sort of, every day or two. He's like, what are we going to make today? What are we going to make today? So yesterday I had some oranges. I'd had some oranges that I already had at home that we hadn't gotten through, and then I bought in a vegetable box had arrived, and that had even more oranges in it. And so I sort of thought, and I found it's a Claudio Rodan modified recipe, and it's super. And I mean, honestly, get your pens, people. It's really easy. 2 oranges in a pot with a couple of inches of water, and then on a very, very slow boil for a couple of hours. Make sure it doesn't dry out. And I tell you what, if the scent in the house, just as an air freshener alone, it is incredible. So you do that, let them cool, chop them up in a bowl, 6 eggs, 250 grams of flour of ground almonds, 250 grams of sugar, and I think it's a tablespoon of baking powder. And it says to do it in a food processor. I don't actually have a food processor. I have a hand whiz, and I just hand whiz that sucker up to make a wet batter, and then slowly baked it in the oven for, I think it was about an hour. About an hour. And it is the moistest cake. I know, it is fantastic.
Nigella Lawson has the same similar recipe, and it's great because for us it's like no gluten, no dairy. And you can use it. You can do it with lemons. You can do it with oranges, and then as the mandarins come and the clementines come, you can just adjust, and you can do it with those as well. It's really nice if you throw in about half a handful of actual almonds, because then you get those chunky nuts in it as well. You don't just have that ground almond, you also just get a bit of texture from the chunky nuts. It's a great recipe. She's actually got it. Nigella Lawson has another one which is awesome to use as a base recipe, which my 12-year-old or 13-year-old is super bakey. And so we've made up a whole lot of recipes based on Nigella Lawson's chocolate olive oil cake recipe. So it uses olive oil instead of butter, and then ground almonds and stuff, and lots of eggs, same sort of idea. But we do things like, instead of the cacao, I mean, it is beautiful, but instead of the cacao, we'll put in grated carrots and can use those base recipes and just adjust and adjust.
Yeah.
It's actually super good fun. A zucchini cake is a good thing to be making.
I was just about to say zucchini cake. I remember Jo Seeger years ago. Do you remember that? She had that chocolate zucchini cake, and it was incredible. And I think that was because I've got a funny feeling that one was dairy free as well. I think it was. Yeah,
you can definitely make them dairy free.
Yeah.
Like a banana cake, you could do it zucchini cake, and then you could actually just chuck in a bit of cacao as well, or cocoa, and that would make a nice. You don't even notice the zucchini once you get going.
No.
But the baking. I have a funny feeling we'll all roll out of this one.
I know. I have to admit, because I'm not generally a baker per se. I'm quite capable of doing it,
but it's very tasty.
Yeah, and I don't bake because, believe me, I don't need it.
No.
But with the kids home,
Yeah, I have to say we all thoroughly enjoyed our bananas yesterday. I had the bananas and I was hoping to let go really ripe so I could chuck them in the freezer for later, and I still will do that with some. But I made this beautiful chocolate sauce. I actually used the Little Bird recipe. So we used the Little Bird coconut avocado ice cream, chocolate avocado ice cream, and it's got avocados and maple syrup and cacao and I can't think what else. I've never actually made it. The kids made that. But I made a chocolate sauce to go with it, and it was so dead easy. It was just cacao powder and a little bit of coconut oil, and that's the other thing I was going to say, for all those cakes, I halved the sugar, and you don't notice the difference, no difference. But I had only had half as much maple syrup as I needed for the chocolate sauce, and then I just threw in a bit of almond milk to loosen it up because it was a bit stiff, and blitzed it. And oh my goodness me, what a delicious chocolate sauce.
Oh, wow.
Drizzled that on top of our ice cream and oh my goodness.
Well, you know what they say.
We're not having dinner as well.
Oh, you know what they say. What is it? Disaster is invention. Yeah, exactly. So it's we've all done fairly well. Well, look, Libby, it's been an utter joy to catch up with you.
You too.
Yeah, and we. So as I mentioned before, the Wardrobe Toolbox link is live here in the introduction, and I'm going to, as soon as I've finished here, I'll be dropping this down and loading this up on YouTube as well. So so it will stay live until about 2 o'clock this afternoon, so do jump on there. And and you never know, before this thing is out we may catch up again, but
that would be nice.
In the meantime, it's love to everybody up there in South Auckland, and take care and keep knitting.
You too. See you later, everybody. It was lovely to chat to you.
All right. Bye, everybody. And I will be back again with another instalment of the Quarantine Diaries. And actually, if you're around this afternoon, I may have a little bit of a surprise for you. So I could be back for that. Take care. See you all then. Bye.